America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was trucking up the highway, minding my own lane, with some dude in a Prius went and flipped me off. Guess my redneck hit him wrong. Seems like everyone these days is a ticking time bomb full of hate for folks like me who don't agree and ain't ever gonna change. And it gets me thinking, leave this long-haired country boy.
Hey everybody, this is Jon Marietta, and I'm glad you're tuning in to our radio show / podcast or podcast / radio show. I want to thank everybody for all the support I'm getting. We're almost 1 million views already. It's unbelievable the amount of people that are tuning in, and I'm getting my phone just blows up all the time about all these things, and I want to thank them. We had a phone call from the radio station, and they asked me when I was returned, and I told them it'd be another month or so before I made that decision. We're gonna work with them a little bit again, I think, and I want to thank them for all their help in getting this and help me get this up and going. So let's get started. Let us not become weary doing good. For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That's Galatians 6:9. You are listening to the Hillbilly Jon radio show, where the people still matter and the truth doesn't need permission. Today we're talking about something the polished suits and back rooms tend to forget. The grassroots, folks knocking doors, making calls, showing up, and when nobody's watching. The ones who don't have $1 million donors, just conviction and a backbone. Because here's the reality. It's not complicated. Nothing real in this country has ever come from the top down. It's always come from the ground up, from people who got tired of being ignored and decided to stand anyway. The grassroots isn't a slogan, it's the foundation. And if you weaken that, everything else eventually collapses. So today, we're giving a voice to the people who actually care and actually carry the weight. No filters, no handlers, just real conversation about where we go from here, whether the people still have the will to take it back. Stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. And this is going to be one that matters a lot. I want to thank everybody one more time for tuning in. And I got Melanie Patterson with me. Melanie Stringhill Patterson is with me. She always corrects me.
Yeah.
She came over from Washington Township to visit me today, and we're doing a podcast with her, and we'll probably do. Time goes on, we're going to be moving around different places, and able to do other podcasts and make things a little more convenient for everybody. But right as of now, she's with me here today. She's in the studio, and I want to thank her so much for traveling over. Washington Township, Melanie, is the second biggest precinct in Fayette County. Did I have that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And it's one of the most, I don't want to say one of the most, it's a very conservative bunch of people over there, a bunch of folks. There's coal miners, steel workers, retired steel workers, EMS workers, all kind of good people over there. And I love going to Washington Township. And mostly because she always finds a good place for me to eat somewhere close. She has the Good Old Days house over there, which has been on television, KDKA. They did a big thing about that.
Cool Houses segment, yes, a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago. It was a lot of fun.
And I'm so glad that she was able to do that. A lot of people don't realize that this lady works lots, and she works for the right reasons. And I want to give her credit. She's always trying to step up and try to do the next best thing. And so she's running for state committee for Fayette County, GOP State Committee. And she is definitely one of the grassroots candidates. This show is going to be about her. I really feel there's 3 of them, and I will name all 3 of them right now, because I'm endorsing all 3 of them. It's Dale Custer, Melanie, and Larry Doherty, and they're all good people. and they all try to, and I believe they all have backbones, and they have spines of steel, because this is going to be something this next month. I know it's going to be something. See what goes on. But Melanie, why are you running for state committee?
Well, a lot of reasons, Jon. Let me back up a little bit here. My name's Melanie Stringhill Patterson. Once again, I'm a teacher, an inventor, former manufacturer, and a developer of Unique Destinations, which was my vacation house rental. And I'm running because Fayette County Republicans deserve a party that's organized, transparent, and built from the grassroots up. Real change doesn't start in back rooms. It starts in the precincts with the people. And that's an important fact I want to stress today is the precinct committee people. Most people don't even know what a precinct committee person is.
No, they don't.
I didn't know what it was
None
either.
of us did.
And the amazing thing is that I've lived in Fayette County since 1992. My husband and I built our own home. We raised our son, who now lives in Fayette County. And in all those years, I was active. Like I said, I manufactured a baby product in Uniontown. I was in the news. I was, a mover and a shaker. I got things done. I'm a doer. I don't talk. I do things. And in all that time, I'm sitting in the second largest township precinct in Fayette County, and no one bothered to reach out to me to say, hey, Melanie, why don't you get involved as a precinct committee person? You're out there. I tried to save a Coyle Theater. Now I have my vacation house rental that's been almost open for 20 years. No one reached out to me. And I've heard different things over the years. And so in 2015, because of my media attention, my product got on the national shelves of Walmart in the summer of 2001. So I wasn't anyone that was, a little, little silent wallflower. I was out there, and I was from Fayette County and a Republican, Christian conservative, pro-life, and no one asked me to get involved. So in 2015, the HRCC, which is the House Republican Campaign Committee, and they're in Harrisburg, they reached out to me because at the time I was very vocal. I went into Pat Stefano's office. He was newly elected at that time, to see how he could help me save the Coyle Theater in Charleroy, which is not his district, but it's right across the river from me, because one of his staff members had restored a theater, has some experience. I wanted to know what kind of grants, what kind of resources were available. And somebody from HRCC must have been at that open house for Pat Stefano. And they said, hey, here's a woman. They were having success with Camera Bartolotta. And they probably figured they could manipulate another woman, to get involved in politics. I didn't know anything about it. I said, are you crazy? I'm a businesswoman. I'm a business owner, former teacher. I don't know anything about politics. And they assured me that, that wasn't a prerequisite. That, you don't need to do that. We'll guide you. We'll help you. So being naive, I ran for a state representative to unseat Pete Daly in 2016 in that primary. And I got no help from the Fayette County Republican Party. Now, the 49th district at that time was only comprised of about 17% of the 49th district was in Fayette County. The majority of it was in Washington County, which is where my opponent was from. And because I didn't have a grassroots game, because I didn't have any support from the Republican Party of Fayette County, which is shocking, I had no help. Again, who was the precinct committee person at that time? Who would have,
Sad part about it is, Melanie, there probably wasn't any.
I know there wasn't any, exactly. Because, and if you scoot up too in 2020, look at the elections that year. We were shut down. Again, precinct committee people that are Republican people in your neighborhood should have made those elections maybe, a little more smoother. But in my Washington Township precinct, they moved it from the fire hall at the last minute into the maintenance garage. And we had to stand, 5 feet apart, all of that nonsense in signing that, if you can remember. And it's frustrating because the Republican Party really did nothing, especially in Fayette County. They let that presidential election of 2020 go rogue, go crazy. My son voted at 11:30 in the evening on that presidential election day because of the lines and the confusion and how it was ridiculous. And so that just added to the frustration. And then I became involved in 2021 in Fayette County as a Republican member of the Republican Party to try and fix our elections, and got some pushback there. in 2022 when I became a judge of elections and went to some conferences, and I'm listening to people that had proof and evidence here in Pennsylvania that the 2020 elections were stolen. And we're coming out today, we're finding out that that's proven. None of the courts wanted to hear it.
Nope, they didn't.
They shut the door on that. And why was that? And so it just became frustrated with the Republican Party here in Fayette County. And so in 2022, I was elected as a precinct committee person. And Denise Stasko and I from downtown Belleville got involved. So this was our first taste of what a precinct committee person was. We had a great team at that time, Jon. You were part of that. You were the sergeant of arms. We had Michelle Mowry, a fellow teacher who was the chairperson. Don Capolco was excellent as the vice chair. Who else was on there? Elliot Mazer. We had some great new faces, enthusiasm, motivation to get started. I was excited and proud to be part of that team because that was the team from the Republican Party, a new set of executive officers that actually turned Fayette County red that summer. And the fair was so much fun. If you remember, we had all kinds of things. The summer of 2022, for the first time, our team that was assembled at the time turned Fayette County red. And, that was just an eye opener. Where were they for 4 years while the president was in office in Fayette County? Where were the Republican committee members and the precinct committee people in trying to register new Republicans, trying to get where were they? They were, what I'm learning now, in closed rooms, wanted no input from the outsiders. And then if you go back in 2018, I ran for state committee in 2018. And I was removed from 2 Fayette County Republican petition signings because they didn't want me to get on the ballot. They didn't want me to run against, their establishment pick who's been on committee for 10, 15, 20 years.
And haven't done nothing.
I didn't even know. If you don't know who your state committee people are, and if you don't know who your precinct committee person is, what's that telling you?
True.
Nobody's doing their job. They're disorganized. There's no communication. And even in the 3 years that we've gone, one of the guys I recruited precinct committee people, can't get any emails, or they had the wrong email and kept coming to meetings and wanting to, to be heard at the committee meetings, which were at that time were open to anyone from Fayette County. Now they're closed. And he just felt like no one's listening to me. I felt, nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's not a good sign for the Republican Party. And we've got to have, if we want strong candidates to run for office, whether it's school board, whether it's council member, township supervisor, if we want good conservative Christian politicians, candidates running for office, it starts at the precinct level.
It does.
And at the grassroots. That's what we talk about, is the grassroots being important. And if we want
the precinct people have the ability to get people elected also.
Oh, absolutely. Your people in your neighborhood.
They didn't know all your people in the neighborhood.
You see them at the polls, you see them at church, you see them in the grocery store.
Yep, exactly.
It's a relationship that you're building with people in your neighborhood as a committee person in your precinct. So it's a powerful place. You might see the new dad and somebody new in the neighborhood, a young family, and you can talk to them and maybe encourage them to run for school board. You have young children. Why don't you be, we need leadership like you. We need a strong Christian conservative leader to run for school board. And maybe no one ever said that to them, but you plant the seed like that, because right now it's a closed club here in Fayette County. In fact, tonight, the executive board is going to endorse 3 candidates in this primary, which goes against our bylaws. Now, to my understanding, I think they changed the bylaws so that they can go ahead and endorse in a primary, which is taking away the vote from we the people. So so you talk about Republicans don't get out and vote. Well, if you take away our vote by endorsing somebody,
why go out to vote?
Why bother to go to vote? Yeah. Why bother to even get involved?
Yeah.
It feels like there's kingmakers in charge, and I'm not, because I'm a worker. I've got a family. We all have that, but they're not welcoming. And, that's not how you grow a Republican Party. That's not how you keep America great. That's not how you grow Fayette County. And you have to, we think communication is important. Transparency is number one. And we're getting, Jon, you and I are getting pushback because we're asking for transparency, as I did with the hotel tax. We're still on that bandwagon. I just filed an appeal with the Office of Open Records because I'm not getting answers from the Right to Know office in Fayette County. And I know there's a change in position there. Somebody was removed. Don't know what it is. But, I've been asking, for months and not getting the answers. And that's not how we run a government. We have a right to know these things. We're taxpayers and we want to know where the hotel tax met. But I don't want to go down that aisle. But because we're asking questions, they don't want us part of the party. And they want to take control. But if we want a stronger Republican Party in Fayette County, we have to rebuild it. And the way to do that is from the precinct up. We can get more people involved. We can better communicate, absolutely, than what we've seen, in the past day or two is just ridiculous. More transparency. And the other thing too, Jon, is they don't show respect for the grassroots people. We're ignored. And that's a word that, we were not shown respect. Nobody was. You weren't. They endorsed candidates when they weren't supposed to. They didn't follow their bylaws. So they, removed me as an elected state committee person. That's not how you do things. That's not how you grow a party. And, we have to make the change, and we can do that so we can get, a party that's actually belongs to the voters of Fayette County, the Republican Party.
Well, I'd like to see a big change at the state level too. But we know that it has to start at the local level. I feel like they just don't want We the People candidates at all. No matter who it is. And there's problems with several. There's always problems. But the thing of it is they could be worked out if they looked at it differently instead of I want my way and I don't care what you think.
Right.
I mean, that's where we're at.
Well, one of the things I hear often about our president is that he listens to people, and contrary to what people may think, he's narcissist, and he has those board meetings with all of the people on his staff there, and he gets input from them. He wants to hear from everybody, and then he makes a decision or gets together. He wants to hear from the people. And that's never happened before. I've talked to people that have served on White House staff and says no other president ever did that, ever assembled their
Oh, I know what you mean. But anyways, yeah.
But he does. He listens to the people and he wants input from everyone. And that's what our Fayette County Republican Party needs to do, input. And it's okay to disagree. That's how you grow. That's how you get better, when you disagree and you research and do your homework. And they don't want that in this party right now, in this committee. And the only way to break that is to recruit people for precinct committee people. So if you're listening out there and you want to know, okay, well, I'd like to get involved, Melanie. How do I do that? Well, with the primary coming up, all you have to do, well, if you want to call and see who your precinct person is, you can call the election office and they'll be able to tell you who your precinct committee person is, whether it's appointed or whether it's they were elected. If you can't find that answer, well, then that's telling you there's probably nobody there. We have 67 precincts in Fayette County, and 2 people for every precinct.
That's about where we're.
It's about what it is. So 2 people can represent a precinct.
There actually can be 3. We have 1 appointed.
Yeah. So 2 elected people for every precinct and somebody who's appointed. So, that's a lot of positions there. If we get strong Christian conservatives as precinct committee people, we've got a strong Republican Party that can get, good people elected, good people in office that are going to listen to the taxpayers and listen to the people. And you have that ear on the ground as a neighborhood precinct committee person. It starts right there. It's really important. And, I hope maybe we can get some people involved in that. So on the primary today, all you need to do is on election day, have 10, 12 people, maybe 15 of your friends, write your name on the ballot. So the ballot will have precinct committee people and it will have some empty spaces there. And you can have them write in your name on election day in your precinct. And you will become the precinct committee person, because 9 times out of 10, there's nobody else running against you.
Well, like I said, we want to keep moving forward with with this, and we've got a lot of people that are calling me, and I'm sure they're calling you, and it looks like we're able to move forward with getting more people as committee people, as local committee people. State is a little bit different because you're going to go to Harrisburg 3 to 5 times a year,
Right.
and a lot of people
On
say,
your own dime. It's not paid.
That's what I was just getting ready to say.
On your own dime.
I said this isn't something that you're about. The only thing that I know of that the actual Republican Party actually helps out with is they pay one night's hotel room.
Oh,
So that's 1 or 2 nights for depending on, and that's how they do that. They try to compensate people going, because you know what, think about it, and you're in that business too. I mean, halfway's decent hotel costs you $200 now. I mean, that's just the way it is. So plus your
especially
gas.
in Harrisburg. You're in Harrisburg, so you're paying, top dollar there. And then the turnpike tolls.
Yeah.
Our lovely turnpike tolls that was implemented by our Republican governor at the time that, partially to blame why we're paying outrageous turnpike tolls and gas.
Yes.
And gas. Here we go back to, the heart of what the Republican conservatives are supposed to be doing for us in Harrisburg, protecting the taxpayers. And they're not. They're sitting on their hands. Most of them are seat warmers. And the only way we change that is by welcoming people into the party and then getting them to run for office.
And what you just said is perfect, because we have to get people out to vote. Donald Trump isn't running this.
No.
And the state committee already endorsed the governor candidate, which I think is completely wrong.
Yeah.
So there's no desire for anybody to. There's
nothing motivation to get people to vote. Most people know of a governor. Those are important races that they want to participate in, a governor and president. But this primary, that's what the primary was for.
Yeah,
is for the voters to make a decision.
But I guarantee you that either one of us could go get 20 Republicans off the people that are registered Republicans and ask them, who you voting for governor? And they'll be like,
who? Yeah, I don't know.
Is governor up? Is governor? Are we voting for governor this time or not? Or is that in November or what?
Oh, yeah.
So, there's no, and I really believe that that's where it's like you say, the local precincts, the local committee, it needs to get more involved.
Educate. And you can do a whole lot of things that traditionally here in Fayette County has never happened. You can have a little coffee chat. So we have a great little coffee shop in Washington Township with a cute little room there in the back. On occasion, let's get together. We have an election coming up. Let's get, 5 or 6 people together. Let's get the handouts from the candidates that are running and do doors and knock like that. You're getting new people involved. It doesn't have to take very long, or make phone calls. Or my idea is personal letters. Get a little postcard, and I've been wanting this ever since I became a precinct committee person, a nice little postcard from your neighbor that says, hey, Susie, I'm your neighbor here in Washington Township. I hope you're going to get out to vote, and hand sign it. And you can do a little postcard signing thing like that in your neighborhood with people who would like to do that. That's never happened. You're reaching out to them personally, a personal touch on anything. Even for church, you have a friend that maybe not going to church. You know what I say? Invite them. Exactly. Invite somebody to church. Exactly. Hey, Susie, what are you doing? Say, let's go go to church and then, go for breakfast afterwards. And you know what? They're going to say, yeah. Oh, you invited me. Many people, get criticized because, the churches are failing. Well, you know what? Invite some people to your church, to your mass, to whatever you do to get involved. And, it's a nice way to reach out to people. That's what I think we're missing here. And then to help local candidates. So back again, looking for school board positions or township supervisors. When you're in that little neighborhood, somebody might be in there that you never would have thought would want to run for office. And it doesn't hurt to try and recruit people to do that.
I think we need to get the churches do need to get involved, like you say, and that's a good thought. don't see somebody in church for a couple weeks, maybe you ought to send.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I miss you. I miss you. Where
you
are you?
been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you want to do that with voting, you get the voting list as a precinct committee person. You are aware of all the people in your neighborhood who are registered Republicans, and to write them a little note if they haven't voted, in a one or two elections, a little simple postcard. It says, "Hey, we missed you at the last election. Hope you're going to come out and vote this May." That's little tiny little reach out that you can do. That's doable in your neighborhood. I was a judge of elections at the precinct in downtown Fayette City, and they only have 350 voters there. How easy is that to reach out to the Republicans in Fayette City? If you have a precinct committee person, you have two people, you could personally sit down in an evening and write, 40 or 50 postcards to people who haven't voted in a while and say, "Hey, I'm Susie Smith. I'm your neighbor. Haven't seen you." I mean, that's a little personal touch. That's small.
I like that idea.
That's small. And, big precinct like me, I need a little more people on my team, volunteers to help that. But the only way you do that is if you know who is in your neighborhood. And that kind of has been real secretive information when you're a precinct committee person, and it's not, you're not selling this list or anything. We're not violating any rule by knowing who is the precinct people in your neighborhood, who are the voters are in your neighborhood. That's public knowledge. And, so you're not doing anything that's illegal. It's just a personal touch, building a contact list. Even on my own street, we had two people move in there. She signed up my petitions. We get to know her. We like her dog. We drive up, we wave all the time. And she has her Trump signs out there. This is fun. And one of the nice things about when you're doing doors and stuff, most of the Republican families have a flag out. You can be pretty safe. If you're going like in a general election where you're hitting both Democrats and Republicans and knocking doors, you can be pretty safe that if they have a flag on their front porch, that's a conservative Christian in that house. And you're welcome there to talk to them about anything.
I think it's a good thing, and I think that's what we lost. And I think brought it back to his own way.
Yeah.
But I think he's brought it back to the people. Or what? I need to talk to everybody. And it's just like you say. I've been in board meetings. One of the most been in a lot of board meetings in my life, but one of the board meetings that I've always impressed me was a man that I ran several grocery stores. He hardly would say anything, and he didn't own Giant Eagle, but he owned it. But he would hardly say anything. He would listen to everybody, and then he'd say, "Okay, this is what we're going to try to do," but he would listen to everybody. He'd say, "This is what we're going to try to do," and then he says it might not work. He said, but he said, "I won't get mad at you if you change things, or if you change how we implement." He said, "But I will get mad at you." And he says, "Because I can't fix nothing." So it's just like you say, you send postcards, you talk to people, shake hands, go to the coffee shop,
Yeah.
I mean, we're having an event with Harry Cochran next Tuesday, 12 to 6. It's going to be kind of like we're going to have pulled pork and things, and it's going to be at the Collinsville Airport, and it's going to be just
that's nice.
Just going to be just an informal thing, and we're wanting people to show up and come
and talk to him. Talk to him. He's a great candidate, great guy, wonderful.
I'm hoping I can get all the state committee people there, and maybe some precinct people there, and that we're working on now.
Oh, that's good. That's a great idea.
So just shake hands, talk to people, and it's at the Collinsville Airport, which is almost dead center in Fayette County.
It is in the heart of Fayette County.
So,
it's a great place. That's
Melanie,
that's good.
Is there any, if somebody would need you to get a hold of you, how would be the best place to get, like private messenger on Facebook?
Yeah, right. Yeah, go on Facebook. I post things several times a day, informative things too, to even teach the voters about how they can get involved. And I'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks too. We want people to come together. We want to stay connected. We want you to turn out to vote. It's so important that their community, that their voices are actually heard in the Republican Party, because we're all about faith, family, and freedom.
I think that's
and
wonderful.
If we don't unite together under that, we're going to lose our country.
And I got to throw something out here right now, and I want to tell everybody. We had a concert in Fayette County, And this lady went over and above and around and up and down and tried to do everything she possibly could. There was a lot of other people involved, but Melanie got this. Melanie and there's a lot of other people that helped. I don't want to name them names, but she's sitting in front of me now. But I want to thank. She did a wonderful job. And you know what? People will say, "Well, what's the State Theater?" And we were just trying to help out the State Theater, and at the time they weren't being very cooperative with us to help them. We're gonna take another stab at this another day, and maybe it won't be right there, but maybe we'll end up in one of my fields, and we'll just sit on blankets. And but anyways, I think we're gonna try to do some other things together. It's important that we understand it's important that people to understand that we're just not one to fight with people. We want to fix things.
Yeah.
And if we don't point out what's going wrong, then nobody will.
It's for sure. Everybody talks about changing the Republican Party right now. I think that's conversation on many people's minds. But real change starts with your own precinct.
Yep.
That's where the change is. And if we don't have a good precinct committee people, then the regular voters lose their voice. And you know who takes over? The insiders. And before the bigger races even begin. So we need precinct committee people. And Jon, I want to thank you too for having me here today to give the grassroots a voice. Fayette County deserves a Republican Party that's built, as I said, on faith, family, and freedom, and honesty, and respect for the people who do the work. And if you believe it's time to rebuild this party from the precinct up, I'd be honored to have your support in this May primary on May 19th. Me, Larry, and Dale Custer would appreciate your vote to change things in the right direction.
And your signs are gonna start popping up. So don't.
Yeah.
It's state committee, and it's.
But even if you have time on election day to help pass out things at the
Yep.
precinct, maybe if you have an hour or two and can do that, that's going to make a big difference in this primary.
You got to remember, Republicans go to work before they vote. So
that's right. Early in the morning.
So it's either early in the morning or it's got to be.
I'll have the donuts.
From 4 to
the donuts and coffee
4 to
for you
7,
in the morning. Early in the morning for you.
I guarantee you, she'll be in Washington Township, and we're going to try to get. We're trying to make Washington Township the number one place in Fayette County, and we're going to make it.
Yeah, we are going to do that. Absolutely. Strong counties are built from strong precincts. And strong precincts are built by the people, we the people, not the insiders. That's one important thing we got to remember.
Okay, hey, we're going to close up, and I really appreciate you coming in, and we're gonna call it. Actually, Melanie, believe it or not, but that was.
Oh wow!
People might get tired of listening to us.
Ooh, we'll have to come back.
We'll have to come back and do episode number 2. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Fayette County is at a critical moment. We need steady leadership that protects our future. I'm Jon Marietta, Recorder of Deeds. I've worked every day to help cut waste, protect taxpayers, and keep this office running right. Now I'm supporting candidates who will do the same. Dale Custer, Melanie Stringhill Patterson, and Army veteran Larry Doherty. They'll stand for our community, defend our values, and bring real accountability. Vote Custer, Patterson, and Doherty for state GOP. On this road called life, you have to take the good with the bad, smile with the sad, love what you got, and remember what you had. Always forgive, but never forget. People change, things go wrong, but just remember, the ride goes on. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. I am Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.